Dominic Goodwin playing Frankie Howerd, or No Don't, on the 10th of October locally here in Kirkbymoorside.
Where in Kirkbymoorside?
At the Memorial Hall, 7:30 in the evening.
Great. Okay, tell us about the show, Dave.
Up Frankie. Up Frankie, obviously named after his huge television success in the 70s, Up Pompeii.
So it's a very serious show.
Very, yes, very, very serious, yes. Tears all the way through, of course. Heartbreaking stuff. No, it's a romp from beginning to end. Basically about the life of Frankie Howerd, with various gags thrown in all the way through it. Some old, some not quite so old. An awful lot of them have been rewritten, readapted for today's audience, because of course also, certainly when we look at things like Up Pompeii, and we do a skit on Up Pompeii in the second act, but of course it's all newly written material, because of course you couldn't nick Talbot Rothwell's scripts, copyright contradictions and all of that. So we do a complete excerpt from Up Pompeii in the second act. But it's good fun. It is a romp. There are moments of seriousness, particularly in Act 2, about his life, because when he was performing throughout the 40s and up to 1992 he died, and certainly from the 40s to the 60s, he was, and he remained a homosexual all through his life, but of course that never came out. Certainly not during his lifetime. It was only afterwards that everyone openly sort of discussed the fact that he was an old queen, bless his heart. And of course it would have ruined his career, certainly early on, certainly from the 40s up to the 60s it would have ruined his career. So we discussed that a little bit, not a great deal, but we do. Any show that features a character like that, you have to plumb the depths to a certain degree, so we discussed that, and also his relationship with his mother. There's a line in the show which says, "The only woman I've ever been really close to was my mother, and I adored her," which he did. So we discussed the relationship with his mother. Don't really discuss his friends, because he was friends with people like June Whitfield and Cilla Black. Don't really discuss those, but we do go through various routines that he did. Certainly some of the routines he did back in the 40s on Variety Bandbox and the BBC Light programme. So it's good fun. It's good fun beginning to end. I mean, we've opened last Friday, and we've had hysterics in the two shows that we've done. We opened at Helmsley Arts Centre last Friday and had just over 80 in the audience, which is a nice kick-off. And then Huttonley Hole on Saturday, and played to 19 in there. But again, there was hysterics throughout it. And it was lovely, because a chap came up and spoke to me afterwards and said, he was, how shall I put this? Drunk, yes. And he said, "I never liked Frankie Howerd, but I've not laughed so much in years." He was very, very pleased. So it's great fun. It's good. It's a good giggle.
And you're a fan of Frankie Howerd, presumably.
Yeah.
How did the show sort of come about in the first place, and why are you doing it?
Well, it came about because Stuart Fortier, who wrote it, wrote a play for me last year about Holmes and Watson, with me as Watson, and he made several comments throughout the rehearsal process and through the tour itself that you do sound like Frankie Howerd at times. There's a bit of Kenneth Williams thrown in, as there always is whenever I do. And then I got a phone call about 2 weeks after the tour finished, and he said, "Would you be able to play Frankie Howerd?" Yes. I don't know any other actor who's going to say no, really. So he said, "Okay, leave it with me." Nothing happened then for about 6 months, I suppose. Then he said, "Act 1, I will email it to you tomorrow." So he emailed it and had a read of it and giggled my way through it. And then I got Act 2 a couple of weeks later and giggled my way through that. I mean, we've made various changes to it, certainly during the rehearsal process the last 2.5, 3 weeks. And it came from that, really. I mean, I've always liked him. I've always liked Kenneth Williams and that type of humour, outrageously camp humour, which is what it is, and very, very funny.
So you say we. Tell us about the cast, apart from yourself.
The cast was obviously myself as Frankie, and a girl called Penny MacDonald, who is a lady who came to Helmsley Arts Centre in 2004 to do a show called The Shadow Box. I don't know whether or not you remember that, Gareth, do you?
No.
No, 2004, American play.
Yeah.
Played for 2 nights in 2004, and we hit it off. We always got on really very, very well. And then, 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago, I was approached to direct a play about Dan Leno from the Georgian Theatre Royal. And it came about that the actor who was playing Dan Leno and had written the script didn't have a director. He was friends with Penny, this dear lady, and she said, "Have you considered me?" On the same day, he spoke to the company, the theatre that he was doing the show with, which is the Georgian at Richmond, and Vaughan, who used to run the theatre there, said the same. So on the same day, both people suggested me. So I got in and I directed the show, and then I met Penny again, and we've just kept in contact. We'd always said, even back in 2004, that we should work together, and so finally we are.
So she plays all the women in...
She plays every other part. She plays God. She plays my guardian angel that comes down with me. She plays all my agents. She plays my mother. She plays various characters in sketches. Yeah, she's never off stage basically with me all the time.
Right, lots of costume changes for her?
Yes. Although, because some of them are so fast. I mean, there's an excerpt in Act 1 where I have to sing Three Little Fishes, which was his big song from the 50s, and he actually used it as an audition piece just after the Second World War as well. So I sing that, and I sing it, I think it's 6 times in one little section, and she plays 6 different agents. So she hurtles off stage, grabs a hat and a beard, comes on and plays that one, hurtles off, grabs another bat and a moustache and a cigar, and comes on as a different agent. And yeah, so it's very, very fast moving most of the time.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely frenetic.
It's frantic, it is.
Are you exhausted at the end of one of these shows?
Yeah. Well, not as much as previous shows, but yes I am. Because a lot of it is I stand up and talk to the audience. Then I get a chance, then we have a few frenetic moments, and then back to text, back to frenetic moments, and then back to text. So yeah, it's good fun.
And you mentioned also that the audience get involved at some point.
Yes,
Now, we don't want to put anyone off, do we?
No,
because you don't have to.
No. Don't. We bring 2 members of the audience up onto the stage if they want to.
For?
I say if they want to. No, they're pulled up onto the stage if they do or whether they don't.
So what's the advice then? Don't sit on the front row.
It doesn't matter where you sit, you'll be grabbed. But there's only 2 of you. In fact, we did the show at Hutley Hall, and the minute I said about we're looking for a virginal young maiden, this 60-year-old woman jumped up and came throwing herself up onto the stage. So we do ask for a chap and a lady to come up and play Erotica and Ricardus Gargantuous in the Up Pompeii sketch in Act 2. And then we basically rip them apart, and we give them a couple of very silly little items of costume, and have great fun with it.
So there's a bit of ad-libbing going on as well as...
No, me ad-libbing, no. Yeah, quite a bit of ad-libbing actually, yeah. I've got a little book full of his little lines that he would say, his catchphrases, and there were so many of them. I had no idea, because everyone knows Titter ye not, shut your face, but there's hundreds of them. There's don't mock the afflicted, oh no don't, you might be one of your own, shut your face, shut your gobs, oh no don't, listen, and all of those. So we get all of them in. Give
us a sense of how big Frankie Howerd was as a star. Is there kind of a modern equivalent to Frankie Howerd, isn't he?
Oh blimey, modern equivalent to Frankie Howerd.
Perhaps there isn't.
I suppose it's a cross. It would be a cross between Michael McIntyre and Alan Carr. I suppose the closest I could get to it, I suppose, would be those 2. He was huge in his day, but he was the man. Barry Took said once, after he died, that he was the man who made 3 or 4 comebacks, because he had decided at one point in his career in the 60s to give it all up and run a pub, because no one wanted him. No one wanted him as an actor or as a comedian, so he was going to give everything up, run a pub. But he was asked to give a speech at an award ceremony at the Savoy, and Peter Cook saw him and offered him a stand-up at the Establishment Club in London, which was satire at the time in the 60s. Then he went back down again in the late 70s, came back up again during the 80s and 90s. So, I mean, he's had various different careers. Quite extraordinary, but in his day, he was huge. Variety Club Awards, all sorts of different awards that he's got over the years. But he was massive. So
I expect on this, it's quite a long tour, isn't it? How many shows?
Well, it's 40 shows in total. We've done the first 2. So it's only 40 in total. I mean, I've just toured with Wind in the Willows, and that was 75. So to have 40 is bearable. 3 or 4 a week.
Right.
Which is okay.
But I expect that you'll have some real Frankie Howerd devotees coming along to the shows.
Yeah, I would think so. I don't know quite how they're going to react to it all. I don't think they're going to get too upset about it, because there's nothing within the text, within the piece, to upset anyone. There's a few questions raised, certainly the homosexual side and his relationships. But nothing. I mean, it's not like there's David Benson, who's a lovely actor who tours with the Frankie Howerd Show, Kenneth Williams Show, Noel Coward Show, and he does plumb the depths of these characters, and he certainly does with Kenneth Williams and with Frankie Howerd. And it's not that the show doesn't aim to be that. It aims to be a romp, to be funny, but also to give another side to the man, which it does, without going too deep.
So it's certainly a great show for Kirkbymoorside. Absolutely
it certainly is.
perfect.
It certainly is.
So just remind us again, when are you coming?
So it's 10th of October, 7:30. Tickets available from Pennybank Cafe and from the Summit Bookshop.
Excellent.
Memorial Hall, 10th of October, 7:30.
And you'd love a packed house.
I would love a packed house. The more titters, the better.
Thank you ever so much, David.
Thank you, John.